Hey guys, Flippin' Landlord Ninja here with two guys' take on real estate. Today I wanted to talk about protecting yourself from independent contractors and the 7 things that I suggest you do to make sure you're protected, whether it be in your contracts or just getting forms filled out by that independent contractor. So I hope this is helpful. If it is, please do us a favor, hit that bell icon, hit that subscribe button, and make sure you get the notifications as well because we're coming out with new videos every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
Two guys take on real estate.
All right, you're looking on your first flip, which is awesome, congratulations. And now you gotta sub out some work to independent contractors. There's a few things you wanna make sure you're doing, and this can protect you as the investor from overages, liability, all the things that you really wanna be mindful of as an investor and first starting out that you might be skipping over. So the first thing I'd like to talk about is your scope of work. You really want to have a detailed scope of work from your contractor, even down to the point of maybe even getting the SKU numbers of each item so that there's no question about what is expected from you and from them, and so that you're all on the same page right from the beginning. So I generally like to have that all written out as well as initialed as part of the contract. So I highly recommend you take a lot of time on this part walking through with your contractor so that you can come up with a scope together, and then if they're supplying materials, they go and they get you all those invoice SKU numbers of every little item that you're gonna have, be it the flooring, the type of paint, make sure you got the color of the paint, you're gonna, doorknobs, everything. You wanna really be thorough on that. The next is your construction schedule, and this is actually your payout schedule. So you want to, if you're giving them a deposit, which of course they're going to need for if they're buying the materials, they're going to need that to kind of start buying materials and start their workers working. And then what are the expectations for the next draw and subsequent draws? As well as I always like to hold a certain amount, at least 10% of the contract at the end to close out permits, as well as to make sure there's any punch list items. One thing I'd recommend is that you make sure you're paying out behind the contractor. What does that mean? That means that they've actually completed more work than you're paying out. All too often I find that people are paying out too early, or they're paying out 50% of the contract right up front, and they're gonna get left holding the bag because some contractors, unfortunately, are not honest, and they will walk away with your money. Honestly, this happened to my mom and my dad when they were renovating their first house that they were building. It was a new construction project. They had given 50% of the deposit down for the whole project, and they were all excited about their new home, and then unfortunately, within a month or so, the contractor stopped returning their calls, and it turns out he did this to multiple people and got a flight out of there. And so unfortunately, my parents were left holding the bag. So please be careful. Make sure you're getting ahead of your contractor and that you're not going to be left holding the bag. The next thing to be mindful of is having lien waivers. And what does this mean? This means it allows them not to tack on mechanical liens and stuff like that for your projects. So this is something we get all of our contractors to sign, that they will not be able to put any kind of lien on the property. This is very standard language to have in your contracts. Talk to your lawyer, if whoever's drawing up your contract, to make sure this is a part of the contract. Then you want to make sure you get a copy of the W-9 from your contractor. This allows you as the investor to write off that expense for the IRS and bill out them as a 1099 at the end of the year. So you're going to want to make sure you get that form filled out. We do that with every contractor that we worked with. Anyone that we pay over $600 with, we're always getting a W-9. The next thing I'd make sure is you get a copy of their insurance. And not only that though, when you get a copy of their insurance, you're gonna wanna be added as an additional insured. This protects you from liability, and it's a really important thing that often I think gets overlooked by a lot of new people. They don't actually add you as an additional insured. They might got a copy of the insurance, but you also wanna look at that you're getting added as additional insured. The other thing is, honestly, read that insurance. What does that insurance cover? One time that happened to us is we actually had a roofer, and he was doing a flat roof for us, and it was great. He had insurance, it said flat roofs, and I didn't read it honestly as carefully as I should have. And what he did, he actually did a torch down, and we had some issues with the roof when we went to actually file a claim against his insurance. it was excluded because it said basically that in the contract there was no flammable or torch down essentially was allowed, and so therefore we got denied on that claim. This was something I didn't know about, so now of course every time I'm making sure I'm covered for any kind of flammable, or I make sure they just do an EPDM roof if that's the case. But even the roofer didn't even realize that that was part of his claim. I'd worked with the guy for many years, so I honestly know he was being truthful, and it was just kind of an oversight. So once again, be careful, read the insurance paperwork, know what actually is included in that insurance coverage. This is also another thing that you're going to want to be held removed from liability from on the job site. You're not going to be there every day, so you can't control what's going on with their employees and themselves on the job site, and you don't want to be possibly sued for that. So I would definitely make sure you get a hold Harmless. You can have that as part of your general contract. The next thing to protect yourself is I often like to get, instead of doing some kind of time and materials, we like to do a set price. This kind of puts the whole scope in and it protects you from unforeseen costs or the contractor maybe extending their time on things just so they can drag things out. We once in a while we'll do time and materials, generally on smaller projects, but all of our larger projects we always do one full bid price for labor and materials, not time and materials. So these are the 7 things that we recommend that you work with all of your subcontractors or independent contractors with. This will help protect you from any possible losses. There's always obviously other little things that come up. I would also recommend you reach out, maybe talk to a lawyer in your area if there's any other little language that they want to add into the contracts or any other things that you might need in your state. And check with that to make sure you're covered. If you'd also like to learn more about flipping, check this video out right here. And don't forget, see you in the next one.